Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Dear viewers, I'm here with one of the students of Sultan al-Awliya, Sheykh Mehmet Nazim Adil Alhaqani. If you could introduce your name, please.
Yes. Hello, welcome. I am Imam Shakir of the Hala Sultan in Larnaca. And I've been here since 15 years. And I am follower of Mevlana Sheikh Nazim since the age of 18.
MashaAllah.
So, to describe Sheikh Nazim, it's not really something easy and possible, because whatever you say about him, whatever nice things you say about him, it will not be enough. He was for sure, he was a real servant to Allah Almighty with his actions and with his preaching. He was born in Larnaca, in this city, in this very city where we are now recording this video. And when he was a child, he was always visiting this holy place, tomb of Hala Sultan. And from very young age, he was connected to her. And who is Hala Sultan? Just to explain to the people who are not aware of her presence in Cyprus, Hala Sultan is the nickname given to the famous Sahabi, lady Sahabi Haram Milhan Radyallahu anha. She was the cousin of our Prophet, and also our Prophet's mother, Hazreti Amina and Hala Sultan Haram. They were milk sisters. They had milk. They drank milk from the same mother, and this is why Rasulullah was calling her auntie, meaning auntie in Hala means auntie, and this is why we give this holy place the name Hala Sultan Tekke, meaning the Tekke Zawiye of the auntie queen, from our respect and from our love to her. So Sheikh Nazim, in his childhood, he was always visiting this holy place, and his grandfather, he also served in this mosque for 40 years. This is the holiest place in Cyprus and also within Europe now at the moment, because Larnaca is within the borders of Europe now.
Yes.
And I myself started serving this place 15 years ago with Sheikh Nazim's invitation.
MashaAllah.
And he invited me to come and give my services here, because there was no imam here, there was no regular worship here. And it was treated as a monument, as a historical place. It was just being restored at that time. And when I came 15 years ago, we managed to establish regular prayers, and and the place is running as a mosque since that time. We have lots of Muslims coming for Fridays, for Eid, and for Ramadan especially. It is not open at the moment full time. It's only open from 8:30 to 7:30. Maghrib prayer is sometimes possible, and we are working on it with the Republic of Cyprus, how to make the place open more in the future. It needs planning, proper planning, because it receives a lot of visitors, a huge number of visitors, tourist visitors. So to run the place, we need the help of the government in terms of security, in terms of maintenance, in terms of many things. Because as you see, it is physically a big place. It's not only the mosque part. So Sheikh Nazim, he invited me to come here. And I'm here 15 years ago. With his spiritual guidance, I came here and I took permission from the government of the Republic of Cyprus at the time in 2008 to start prayers here. And they accepted my application, and they have given us permission to do our worships from that date on. And myself, I have been a student of Sheikh Nazim since the age of 18, as I said to you. Sheikh Nazim, he has been a real murshid. He has been a real sheikh. He has been a real master. He was an extremely caring person. He was very caring. He was very affectionate. He was very sensitive, and he was very knowledgeable, of course. But mostly, he had a spiritual presence. He had a spiritual power that anybody could feel.
To you and says, Sheikh Nazim, I'm here. What do I do now? What do you tell him?
We are using the way of seal of prophets.
Yes.
So upon him, as he began from making people to say La ilaha illallah,
Okay.
and no more else.
There is no God but God. So,
And they are coming, sitting, like that one, sitting. I'm not saying anything. Another coming and sitting. They are
just listen.
hearing and listening. They are balancing. And sometimes I am using my attractive power on them, and then their hearts beginning to ask more and to come. And then before 3 nights ago, I was in San Francisco. One reverend came, church priest,
Church official, yes.
coming and sitting. 40 minutes, an association. He was so happy. Second night, he is coming another mosque, Alhaqani mosque, sitting. At the end, he is coming and saying, I am asking to say Shahad.
Inshallah.
And one priest is more important than 100 common people.
You really think so?
Yes,
Why?
because they are learned people and they are practicing their religion. And when haq is going to appear, they are saying you are all right. And it needs some power.
Yes.
Not every ordinary scholar may do that.
Yes.
No.
Right.
So ordinary scholars, they are not knowing from there they should begin.
He was a special man, and until he passed away, he continued his worship to Allah Almighty. He continued his service to Allah Almighty with full respect and full attention, showing at every occasion his love and his respect to Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, and always giving good advice to people, good guidance to people. And because of this very civilized and merciful nature, many people from east to west, they were seriously touched with his sincerity, with his love, his mercy, and he had a lot of followers as a result of this, sincere followers. And of course, they are all around the world. Nobody knows the exact numbers, only Allah knows. But his mission, Sheikh Nazim's mission, was exactly the same mission. Exactly, he was following the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was following what our Prophet did in his time, and Sheikh Nazim, he was practicing that in this century. So it was great. Obviously, we don't know how great it is until we're going to see the results in the judgment day. Yeah. But in our simple mind, we know already that he was such a great personality, who was representing Allah Almighty, and who was serving Allah Almighty and his messenger and his divine will. Sheikh Nazim, he was an extraordinary person. He was not how can I say, classical, usual teacher that you can come across anywhere in the world. No, he was very outgoing personality. He loved joking. He was fluent in English and Arabic. He used a lot of English in his preachings when he was visiting the countries in the West. And of course, he visited from east to west many countries. And he was very open-minded person, not to scare people away from the religion, from the discipline of God, but he was a person who was giving that he was inviting people to the path of God in the most merciful manner. And people love that message, and without forcing anybody, and without any compulsion, without any dictation, he was teaching the way of Allah, which is to love Allah and respect Allah.
When did you meet him for the first time? Where did you meet him?
I met him in a mosque during a Friday prayer when I was around 18 years old, during the Friday prayer. I heard his name, of course, before, and I was really looking forward to meet him. Yeah. But at the time, he was not spending too much time in Cyprus because he was constantly traveling. Yeah. And until his old age, he continued doing so. Yeah. Only when he was older, he started spending more time here. But every year he was spending time in London for Ramadan, 3 months, 4 months, then traveling, driving through Europe, and then passing through Turkey and coming back to Cyprus, staying in Cyprus a couple of months, then going back to Far East, maybe to America, Africa, Pakistan, many different places. So he was constantly on the move, so it was not easy to catch him. Yeah. So when I started my spiritual journey and trying to learn the discipline, the spiritual discipline, of course, there was a lot of engagement in spirituality, in the world of spirituality, with his real presence and his guidance. Yeah. So even so, maybe it was not possible to be next to him or close to him physically all the time. It was very possible and to be with him, together with him spiritually. Yeah. And as you know, real servants of Allah, we call them waliullah, friends of Allah, awliyaullah. They are special people. They have been given special powers by Allah Almighty to help and to serve the mankind, the children of Adam alayhi salam. And Sheikh Nazim, he was certainly doing that. That was his mission, that was his job, to serve the mankind, to serve the children of Adam and to save them from evil and from devil and from their egos and to teach them the way of God.
So how you were in UK?
No, I was in Cyprus.
In Cyprus?
Yes, he sent me back to UK when I was 23 years old.
Oh, what was the reason?
Yeah. Well, the reason, he just asked me to go to UK.
Oh, to UK. And then
you don't have to.
And then you came back again.
Yeah, then he called me back. Yeah, when I was here,
Yeah.
I'm a Cypriot. I'm a Turkish Cypriot originally. At the age of 22, he sent me to UK. I spent 18 years in UK. I do services in his centers, in his mosques there as well, various different services.
Yeah.
And then he called me again to come back here.
Yeah.
And then to come back here to serve Hala Sultan, to be in service of Hala Sultan, which was a great surprise to me, of course, to be given such a big task.
Yeah.
But with Allah's help and support, I am trying my best to fulfill it.
I mean, when we say, the Sheikh asked the student to go somewhere,
Yes.
and the student went, how easy it is to follow the orders at such a young age?
Well, it depends on your level of acceptance. If you are genuine in your love and respect, you will not it will not be difficult for you to do that.
Yeah.
And you must honor if there is some wish or instruction given from your teacher, you must be ready to honor that. If you are not accepting or honoring that, that means you are not a student at all. So you can't really call yourself a student.
Yeah, because in Cyprus, Hala Sultan Teke is the most sacred. Perhaps in the whole Europe is the most sacred place.
It is, yes.
And
Not perhaps, it is.
It is. And you are here as a sheikh performing the duties. It's not a small thing. I mean, was it chosen for you? You were told to. I mean, how this honor came into.
I cannot say anything about that. I am just following instructions from my teacher.
Because
I am. To be honest with you, this is of course, indeed, it is a very, very big honor. Obviously, it is an extremely big honor, and it is not possible to fulfill this task honestly. Only with Allah's help we are doing our best, and we are managing. We are trying to do it better and better. And since 15 years, since the day we have started, the services have progressed, has developed a lot here, and it is getting better and better. If you are following discipline, a spiritual discipline, which Islam is discipline, which Islam is divine discipline, spiritual discipline, and a true sheikh follows that. True sheikh follows the example of our Prophet, the same way that Prophet taught and trained his companions, his Sahaba. A true sheikh will do the same thing to his students. That's the meaning of it. That he's just it's a smaller forum. What the Sahaba, what the companions experienced with the Messenger of Allah, Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. A true sheikh, he tries to teach you that, so you will have the same dedication, same love, same respect, and eventually this will lead your progress spiritually and to develop closeness to Allah Almighty. This is all it's about. So if you are not happy to receive instructions, you can never develop in this way, because because Allah gives instructions, and if you believe in something, you submit yourself in something which is Islam is submitting yourself to the will of Allah. So Rasulullah, he submit himself to the will of Allah and he carried the order of Allah to deliver his message. And then the companions of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, they submit themselves to the message of Rasulullah and of course to the message of Allah ultimately. And they accepted that message. This is again performing the true meaning of Islam, being submitting yourself. And this from this system has been practiced from the time of Hazreti Adam alayhi salam, from the time of our first man, our father Hazreti Adam alayhi salam. So all the prophets, they take instructions from Allah and they deliver those instructions to the believers, and the believers do their best to continue those instructions. And same, the last prophet, Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, his inheritors are the true sheikhs, true masters, true teachers, whatever you call them, awliyas, whatever you call them. The true inheritors of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam are the ones who are following him properly and who can teach with the same methodology for the other people to learn and to improve. So Sheikh Nazim, certainly without any doubt, la shak wa la shubha, he was one of those people. He was performing, he was fulfilling his duties, and as an inheritor of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, and he was teaching and guiding people fully, and he was helping people fully until his last breath, and supporting them spiritually. Then the support he had is not from him, of course. The support is coming from Allah Almighty. Only Allah, if you are a genuine and sincere person, Allah will give you support. Allah will support you. If you are not, you will only talk. And you know what they say in English? Talk is cheap. But awliyas, they don't only talk. They perform because they are genuine ones. They are sincere ones. They don't talk about the knowledge they memorize from books. Awliyaullah, their hearts are open. Their hearts are open. Their hearts are connected with all the holy ones, and ultimately with our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So Sheikh Nazim, I'm not going to say was, because for me still he is. He is certainly one of these inheritors, and one of the very selected and very unique one, which is not easy to come by. Maybe in few hundred years, probably. Allahu alam. We cannot, but he was unique in that sense, and his achievements in delivering the message of God is a testament to that.
We have talked a lot about spiritualism, and to some people spiritualism is kind of parallel religion to the existing religion. For example, the normal people who are not from the spiritual school of thoughts, they are sheikhs and they are teaching Islamic studies and everything. But there are a few things like very hardly we will hear talk about jihad bin nafs, or the spiritualism aspect, or the things that are mentioned in Surah Kahf between Moses and Hadrat Khidr alayhi salam, and the knowledge which is min ladunka rahma, the knowledge that has been ilm ludni, some people call it that.
Yes.
So how these two parallel things started? I mean,
now,
to some people it's very hard to understand.
Well, it is, if you deny ilm ladun, you will go against the verses of Holy Quran. If you deny the secret wisdoms of Allah Almighty, you will go against Holy Quran. If you deny spirituality or miracles in Islam, you will be out of religion. So Islam, in ad-dina inda Allah al-Islam. Islam is the religion of God, and religion of God teaches, administers, and takes care of the things that we touch and feel
Yeah.
and see and hear, which are all temporary,
Yeah.
but also it administers, cares, and teaches about the things which we cannot see, which is ghaib.
Yeah.
The ilm of the ghaib is the biggest ilm of Allah Almighty.
Yeah.
And ilm of ghaib only can be learned through the guidance of Allah Almighty. Allah Almighty, He teaches that ilm to whomever He wants. And all the prophets of Allah, up to a certain extent, they receive that ilm because wahi is from ilm of ghaib.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you say, you gave the nice example of Surah Kahf, which mentions the case of Khizr alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam. Whereas Hazrati Musa, he was one of the Ulul Azm Nabi, of 5 Ulul Azm Nabi. He failed in front of somebody whom even his name is not clear, whom is very secret. But he demanded that, he asked Allah if there is anyone else that is so close to Allah, who is talking and who is receiving instructions from Allah. And Allah just showed him someone without a name, well, Musa didn't know his name, and without any obvious signs of being a prophet, or without any community, without any nation following him, contrary to what Moses was doing, Musa was doing. But that person, he had so much deep ilm, knowledge. After 3 occasions, he had to send Musa alayhi salam back, because Allah showed Musa alayhi salam, don't be very proud, and what you think, don't think that you are the only one, and wanted to teach him to be humble. And he did actually. He, such a big prophet with a book, with a Sharia, with Tawrat as a given book, he failed in front of this unknown personality, which we believe he was Hazar alayhi salam. And this is what the great saints of Allah they mention. Allahu alam. And this, of course, bring us to the point that the ilm, as I mentioned a couple of minutes back, the ilm, the real knowledge of Allah, is not the ones we memorize from books. The real knowledge is beyond that. Yes, we can start learning ilm with memorizing things. But memorizing things is like a child. Child memorizes things, he reads them, he memorizes them, he can read them, but he doesn't know them. Or he needs to get mature to understand them, to find the reality of them. So the real ilm of Allah Almighty, we cannot say the real ilm of Allah Almighty is the only one. For example, Holy Quran is the book given to Rasulullah, and it is protected by Allah's power until the Yawm al-Qiyamah. It is coming, it is a drop in the Kitab, which is the mother of all books, which is Lawhul Mahfuz. Holy Quran is coming from there. Imagine the Kitab. It's Holy Quran is a drop coming from there, and imagine how miraculous is Holy Quran. How it is a miracle of Allah given to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, and it is shifa for us. As Rasulullah say, it is shifa. It is a shifa for the mu'mins. Yes, for sure. And until the Yawm al-Qiyamah, it will be with us. But imagine this Holy Quran, this miracle of Allah, Kalamullah, is coming from Kitab wal Lawhul Mahfuz. Imagine that. So, if we don't believe in ghaib, if we don't believe in spirituality, we cannot possibly understand the concept of Kitab, Lawhul Mahfuz, and miracles. Spirituality, without spirituality, religion cannot be. Because spirituality is the way to go beyond the present dimension further, to go further, deeper than the present dimension. Because our brains can only conceive what we see, what we can touch, what we can calculate, because we have a reference point in this world. But never forget that Allah's message, Allah's wahi, was never sent down to the brains of the prophets. It was sent to the hearts of the prophets. This is why Allah say, Alam nashrah laka sadrak, Rabbi shrah li sadri. Because sadr, where is the chest, where is the heart, and heart is the receiver of the real knowledge. At the moment, we are busy in this world investigating and finding and memorizing information which is only designed for the brains of our brains. But if we hopefully, inshallah, if mankind progresses and becomes better and better, this information, information processing organ, which is at the moment our brain, will eventually come up to the level of the heart as well, because heart is the real place where the secret divine knowledges can be processed, not the brain. Brain is for worldly matters. Heart is for matters beyond world, the other dimensions, which hence you can call them spirituality. But spirituality, sometimes people makes the mistake thinking that spirituality is something like a dream, imagination. No, it's not. In the spirituality is another dimension. And modern science, even nowadays, started explaining these things, that there are other dimensions. And even modern physics, they are trying to find out parallel universes, black holes, etc., time travel. All these concepts, in Islam, they have been mentioned and explained in thousands of years ago. Rasulullah very explicitly he explained his journey up to the divine presence of Allah Almighty in Miraj, Isra wal Miraj. He explained it. Why he explained it? Because he wants us to learn it. He wants us to know it. But not actually, he explained it because Allah told him to explain it to us, and Rasulullah he explained it to us. If Allah told him keep it as a secret, he will not have said anything to us. But he explained it to us step by step, every different levels. All those levels are dimensions, and to understand those things, Rasulullah he made the journey of Miraj with his physical body, and he was operated by angels before he took the journey. He was prepared for it. That journey was beyond the dimensions of these present worldly parameters. But to understand these, to comprehend these things, and to experience these things, you need a spiritual training, which actually is the training which puts you in touch with your soul. Soul is eternal. Soul is created, everyone's soul, believer or non-believer, doesn't matter. Everyone's soul is eternal because it is created from the nur, divine light of Allah Almighty. So our souls are eternal. Our bodies are not eternal. Our bodies are temporary. Sooner or later, our bodies will fail to function when the time comes, and we will be dead. We will be declared dead when the soul is taken out of our bodies, young or old, healthy or not healthy, doesn't matter. But soul is eternal. And spirituality is the, let's call it science, is the way, is the science, is the discipline of that teaches us how to access, how to process, and how to use the power and the knowledge that is hidden in our souls. Because as you know, in Surah Araf, Allah Almighty, He mentions, so that you don't complain afterwards that you didn't know about it. Haven't I collected you in my divine presence, your souls? the soul of insan, the human beings.
Alastu bi rabbikum.
Elastu bi rabbikum. Haven't I collected you and asked you, am I not your Lord? So all the souls, I don't know how many souls, 80 billion. 80 billion times 80 billion, I don't know, nobody knows, only Allah knows. But He collected everyone's soul from Hazreti Adam and until the last man, and until the last human being. So He collected everyone's soul and He asked, Alastu bi rabbikum. And we all said, because we see Him, we hear Him, and we are, because He's addressing us. So He's asking us, Alastu bi rabbikum, and we say, Qalu bala, yes, you said yes. Because we are in full communication and connection with Allah Almighty. And this is spirituality. This is the spirituality. So eventually what it means, spirituality is absolute reality. So spirituality is not optional. Is not left to the minds of individuals. No, spirituality is the essence of life that puts us in touch with our soul and with our Creator and with the reality of our creation, and that opens us the gates of elevating ourselves from our physical beings into what we really are. And what we really are, we are human beings. We don't belong to this world. We belong to paradise. We are above. I'm not going to say we belong to Malakut, because we are above Malakut. We are created as above, we are created as creatures above Malakut. So our reality is to be in that position, to be above Malakut, when the Malaikas, when the angels all bow to, in divine presence, they all bow to our father Adam alayhi salam. So this shows the real potential and real status of the Adam alayhi salam. Eventually means us, we are his children. So human beings, they are not, we are in the world now. This world is for us a place of exile. We are in exile now. Yes, when the time comes, this suffering is going to finish. We will fulfill we will complete our sentence, and inshallah, hopefully, we will return back to our original place of, what they say, original place of birth, or original place of origin. Our place of origin is not dunya. Our place of origin is presence of Allah in the highest heavens.
Before reaching there, if we see in the light of man arafa nafsuhu faqad arafa rabbahu, does it contain this message to know yourself?
Of course, it does. Because when it says man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu, this word is very, very deep and very, very powerful sentence. Of course, who knows their nafis, they will know Allah for sure. Because if you know yourself, you will know that you have a nafis, and that you have a soul. And if you know your soul, that means you know your Creator. Because soul is in direct connection with the Creator.
Is it possible without going into spirituality?
No. You cannot have religion in your mind. Religion cannot be in your mind, because if you lose your mind, you will lose your religion.
Yes.
Religion, Allah says, is a nur. That hidayat, faith, hidayat is a nur coming from the divine presence and put in our hearts. Allah, He didn't say, hidayat I put in your minds. Allah say, I put hidayat in your hearts. So without spirituality, what is meant to be for your heart is still in your mind, and you can only act as or copy the original when it's in your mind. But if it's in your heart, you will not copy, you will act genuinely. And this, what is, yes, it will start here. Of course, we have mental, we have capacity, we have mental capacity, we have intelligence. We have to compare and contrast, and we have to find the right, and we separate the right from the wrong. We have to choose the right way. These are all mind issues. But Hidayat doesn't come to mind, hidayat comes to heart. This is Allah puts hidayat in the heart, not to the mind. Mind is the beginning of it. So without spirituality, if you deny spirituality, that means you don't have anything in your heart. Because spirituality can only be understood with heart, not with your mind.
So
and
they-
without heart working, when I say heart working, I'm not meaning heart pumping blood.
Yes, this is
That
what
is the physical aspect of the heart, to pump blood. But we have a physical body, and we have beyond that we have another body, a spiritual body, and the heart is the gate to our soul. It's the door, it's the window. So when the heart is healthy, you can access and clean. You can access your soul. And Islam teaches us to be healthy and clean. So if you keep your heart healthy and clean, you can access Allah through your heart, and you will reach the point, man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu, or you will reach the point, alastu bi rabbikum qalu bala, all the same thing, in with different sentencing.
difference between the live heart and dead heart. The heart that is alive, and the heart that is alive. How does a heart becomes alive, or the third eye?
Heart is alive if it's enjoying, praising and worshipping his creator. That means that heart is alive. If ego is dominant in that person, that means his heart is not alive, so he will not enjoy any of this. Because ego is dominant, and his ego is taking over the heart of this person. So the potential and the power of the heart is not realized, and hence we can call it not alive. A live heart does never allow ego to take over or to be dominant. If the heart is alive, that means it's full of hidayat and full of divine light, which cannot allow a dark source, dark power. Ego is a dark power to take over. Because divine light cannot be taken over by darkness. Ego is darkness. Shaitan is darkness. But hidayat and iman is divine light. So if you have that in your heart, that means your heart is alive, and your body will be alive, and you will be alive, because darkness cannot take over you.
How does Sheikh change one's way of thinking or spiritual? How does a Sheikh introduce one to the spiritual path?
Sheikh, a master, a Sheikh teacher,
or a Sufi?
Sufi word is a very diluted word. I don't like. The proper word is tasawwuf. Tasawwuf is the proper word, which means the institution of tasawwuf is the institution which was existing, which was present in the time of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. But when people through time passed and decades passed, and Islam fell in the hands of people who were not able to understand and practice it, the reality of Islam was, there was no other way but to institutionalize and teach the secrets and the details of the reality of the Islam, which bring us to the schools of tasawwuf, which are the schools teaching tazkiyatun nafs, how to tarbiyatun nafs, how to train your egos, and how to relieve them from darkness. This was also taught. This was practiced in the time of Rasulullah. But even today, people they think by just saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah, everything is finished. Because this is the level, as I said it today in khutbah, the level it has come a lot down. It is being very diluted. But this is not this. This you cannot claim that this is the Islam that Rasulullah is teaching. That will be very stupid to do. This is not the Islam Rasulullah teaching. Rasulullah was teaching the Islam with full morals, with full training of the ego, with full spirituality. And this nowadays we need specialized schools and place for this, which are the tasawwuf schools. And tasawwuf schools, if they are run by a true sheikh, true master, which ideally means that that person has already gone through those experiences and practices. He was trained by his master, and that master was trained by his master, and that master until Hazreti Muhammad Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. And in tasawwuf, we follow a spiritual lineage tree. For example, in our tariqat, we say Hazreti Muhammad Mustafa, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then we say Siddiq Abu Bakr radiyallahu anha, then we say Salman Farisi, then we say Qasim, then we say Jafar, then we say Taifur. Like this we continue until our master. So there is a lineage, a spiritual lineage.
Knowledge from chest to chest, traveling until...
yes, and this means that spirituality, that nur of Allah, that was given to the heart of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, comes through those channels to the present day, and it will continue until Yawm al-Qiyamah, inshallah. So the true sheikh is the one who already went through these practices, and he mastered this skill, and is given authority by our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Because our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he has authority. He has administration still. He says, if somebody gives me salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim, I will receive his salam and reply to him with the same manner 10 times more. What does this mean? He's in full control of his ummah. If you don't believe this, there is a shortcoming in your faith. So Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, he is indicating in many of his actions and in hadith about the importance of the spirituality. And a true sheikh is the one who follows that practice without any mistake, and guides his students to opens the way for them and guides them to reach their maqams and to become real servants of Allah. Hence, insan-ı kamil, the absolute human being. Because when you become absolute human being, insan-ı kamil, the most mature human being, that means you reach the level of the highest servanthood. Because when you reach the highest level of absolute servanthood, you become, your nafs is under complete obedience to Allah Almighty, and you reach the levels of cleanliness, and you will work in full harmony and synchronization with your Creator. And this is what Islam teaches, and this is what a true master teaches.
So this, if we say, when we read Surah Fatiha, and when we say that Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim, siratal lazina an'amta alayhim. So who is an'amta alayhim? Who are the one who have been blessed or gifted? Like we are asking on the path of those whom you have been bestowed upon your...
Who is following Siratul Mustaqim is the one who is blessed.
The one who is blessed. Yeah. Because we are asking constantly the path of those.
Every day, 5 times a day, so many rakats, we are asking this, and we should continue asking so. Because we are in full need to pray and beg Allah Almighty to guide us. We cannot be too comfortable and say, oh, everything is okay, let's relax. Not in this world.
So there is another ayah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, allahu minan nabiyyin wa siddiqin wa shuhada wa salihin, something like this, where Allah is talking about the gifts and the an'am that I have given it on the nabiyyin, siddiqin, salihin, shuhada, salihin, those who are the blessed ones. And we are seeking their path, that we want to be guided on their path. So it means that sometimes when we read the normal religion and we just start practicing on our own, we do need somebody to teach us who is much more near. Like Jalaluddin Rumi, when Shams Tabriz came, he was a man full of knowledge. He knew almost all the religion, the fiqh, the philosophy, everything. But when Shams Tabriz entered his life, his knowledge was failed, and he said, what you do I cannot do.
Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi, he was a scholar of the highest level.
Yeah.
But his knowledge consisted of book knowledge, written knowledge.
Yeah.
But Shams Tabrizi, Quddisa Sirruh, he was sent to Jalaluddin Rumi to open his spiritual dimension, because without somebody doing that, you cannot open it by yourself. And Shams Tabrizi, he was the chosen awliya at the time to give his services to Mevlana, because Mevlana's time was due, and this happened all not by randomly, but in the divine presence. Allah Almighty, where our Prophet ﷺ is watching his ummah and he's taking care of his ummah. So Shams Tabrizi, he was sent as a master to him to open him up and to allow him to reach his full potential. So he did that.
About the dreams, from Surah Yusuf we see about the interpretation of the dreams. Then Ibn Sirin, we have a knowledge of dream interpretation. And true dream interpretation, does it need the heart that is alive or the ilm ludni? How can it be truly interpreted? Because sometimes the dreams are completely seen in a different way, but they mean in a different. How does one can?
Our Prophet ﷺ, he said, a salih ruya, as a pious dream, is 1/40 juz, 1/40 fraction of the nubuwwat. Dreams are extremely important, especially the salih ones. But what you imagine with your mind on what occupies you during the day and what makes you angry or what makes you busy, and you think about it during your sleep, this is not dream. We must differentiate the real dream and the nonsense that our brains or our egos generate for us, or shaitan generate for us. We must know the difference. Dream is a message coming from divine kingdom of Allah Almighty. Sometimes Allah gives order to His malaika to show you dreams with symbols. And those symbols, you need to have the knowledge of the dream to understand what those symbols means. For example, you might use yourself, you fell in the sea, and you go deep down in the sea like you are drowning, for example. From physical looking aspect, this looks as if you are going to drown, but it's not. It's just the opposite. This means you will be fully blessed. So there are symbols. Dreams are symbols. But if you see Rasulullah or an awliyaullah, a high in your dream, those they don't really need interpretation, because they are straightforward dreams. Because Rasulullah said, if you see me in your dream, it's me. Shaitan cannot go in my place and cheat you. So dreams are extremely important. Allah can show people in their dreams about dangers coming, about shortcomings, about future. Allah can show anything. Allah can show anything in the dream. It's up to Him to show. And we receive message. Yes, everybody can receive message through dreams. It's not something unbelievable. It happens.
If the Sheikh is not physically present, for example, after the departure from the physical world, if they pass away, once Sheikh, can the knowledge still be received in the same manner as in his life, or does one need to have another Sheikh to continue the journey?
To be honest with you, this is up to the personality. If the Sheikh is up to the level and the greatness of the power of the Sheikh, and also to the potential of the follower. So it's all relevant to each other. It's all related. So there is not one answer to this. It's different. It changes. The answer for this, it changes with the condition of the individuals that are involved in this question. If a sheikh is a really powerful one and a really true one, the master, his services will continue. His services will continue. He might not be physically amongst us, but don't forget, what does it mean to be a sheikh? To be real master, a teacher, the one who has fully accomplished the level of man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu. The man who, so that person who has accomplished that level, he has authority to use his spirituality and to serve the people, because they have a task. They have a task. When they reach those levels, Allah gives them a job to serve the humanity with that job, with that power. It's not for leisure. You reach that level. No, when you reach that level, you continue fulfilling the heritage that comes from the prophets. And prophets, what was the job of the prophets? To give service to the humanity. So real sheikh means inheritor of the prophets. So they have a duty to give service to the humanity. So this is how it is fulfilled. So a real sheikh, a real master, can continue spiritually benefiting benefiting people who need guidance and who need help. But to be that person, to receive that help from that person, you must be also at a certain level to be able to establish that communication. Because not everybody can establish communication like that.
What is the importance of maqam, the grave of a saint? What is the connection between the grave and the personality itself, visiting the grave, or someone going to visit for ziyarah and then benefiting?
We visit graves of people to remind us about death and to be careful about death and to offer our prayers to Allah Almighty to receive, so that through our prayers maybe that person receives mercy, or through the spirituality of that person we also receive mercy. So it is both ways. When you go to grave, you don't pray to the grave. You pray to Allah. People don't pray to graves or any other one. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. But we don't pray to the grave. We pray to Allah Almighty. But when you go to the grave, you can give salam. You can say, Assalamu alaikum ya ahl al-kubur. Like Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, he was doing the same thing. We can give salam. We can make dua for them. We can sit down and make tafakkur about death, about the Yawm al-Hisab. And that if that person is a holy one, a spiritual, a good, pious, salih servant of Allah, for sure his grave is going to be different than the ordinary people, because that means his grave will have blessing. Because where he is buried, he will have visitors of malaika, and so that spirituality can also help us as well. But you don't go and worship in a grave. There is a misconception which we need to black and white openly talk about it. You cannot go and worship a grave. That will be shirk. But you go and pay your respects and pray and receive the full benefits of spirituality, which comes eventually from Allah Almighty.
By visiting here, I've seen things are so organized. The prayers on Friday, the food serving, the area, the place of this maqam, very good administration. I also see you preaching on a weekly basis with some of the students. You are putting a lot in terms of being a true follower of a saint. But how can you manage such busy life? Because there is a lot of meetings with the administration from the Cypriot government and the people who are coming, visiting, the officials who want to visit this historic place. How do you cope with such a busy lifestyle and plus your own worships and things?
Alhamdulillah, Allah is helping us. Allah says in Hadith Qudsi, whoever leaves his private things and work and deals with my affairs, I am kafil, I am fully, I give my full guarantee that I will take care of his personal things. So I try to deal with Allah's matters, and Allah, He solves my matters.
One last question from today's khutbah. Muslim and Mu'min.
Yes.
The journey from Muslim to a Mu'min, the accurate and best way, how can one achieve? Because it is very relevant in current times. We are getting away from the real teachings of Islam.
Too many Muslims, but not enough Mu'mins.
Not enough Mu'mins. What is the reason, and how can we?
Because we are taking the religion, we are learning the religion in a diluted form. This is okay. Maybe at the start of it, it's okay. But you cannot continue diluting the religion. You have to face the reality of it and act and do what is necessary for you. So we need to face our responsibilities towards Allah Almighty, and we should perform what is in the same with the same performance what is expected of us. So Alhamdulillah, we start as Muslims, but we need to learn how to become mu'mins, or salihin, or sadiqin, or waliin. We need to learn this, and Islam is actually teaching this. But if your lifestyle, if you want religion to fit your own lifestyle, whenever it suits you or whenever you need it, you will not achieve this high result. We need to be fully ready to fully sacrifice our personal and egoistic things, and we need to be prepared to, as the real mu'mins in the past they did, as the Sahaba they did, submit ourselves to the will of Allah, and we learn how to adjust to that. We don't bend religion to adjust to us. We learn how to fix our lives and adjust to the true servanthood of Allah Almighty. And this means becoming a genuine, sincere believer, a mu'min, inshallah.
Inshallah. Sheikh, I've been honored, and thank you very much. And it's been 1 hour we have had this conversation, and it seems as if we just started, because it has been so knowledgeable. There is so much to be asked, but I've taken already a lot of time of you, and I really enjoyed this knowledgeable interview with you, specifically about Sheikh Nazim, who has taught a lot of students around the world.
Yes,
and
countless amounts.
Countless amounts, and you are one of his students, and I would say you are one of his best students.
Astaghfirullah.
According to my understanding and knowledge.
That's certainly not true.
And Allah has blessed you to be appointed on such a place which is very sacred, which is directly having a connection to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. And it's an honor to be in your presence and having this meeting with you. And thank you so much.
I thank you. Welcome. Thank you. And inshallah, this will be a successful and useful recording for our brothers and sisters all over the world.
Any message that you want to give?
We want prayers from everybody. Our message is, please give us, don't forget us in your prayers, and we are praying for you, and we need your prayers to continue to be successful in our services.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shukran.
Thank you.